Yeah, well, we just invested in some pediatric dental companies across the West Coast, and they're doing substantially. Yeah, and they're printing. They're just absolutely printing.
That's Johnny Hilbrant, the person behind the Instagram persona, the PE guy. From thousands of followers to almost 200,000 in less than 6-7 months.
Yeah, it's a crazy day. I'm randomly very busy all of a sudden.
It all started at a wedding, a corner, a group of people, and a monologue that turned into a character.
What's up, man? You big Cisco guy?
Sorry, what?
They'd say, "What do you do?" And then I'd say, "Oh, I teach at SoulCycle." And they couldn't figure out a way to relate to me. I was at a wedding, I think at the welcome party, and I was like backing into a corner, and I found myself up against a wall in a corner with this guy just talking all about himself and his job and how like amazing his pay is. And the only thing he could say to relate to me was like, "Oh yeah, I have a Peloton at home." You know.
Ooh,
And
where do you stay when you're on island? We'll like get a rental with a group of friends or maybe stay at a hotel or something. Look, my man, you know how it is. I mean, growing up in an affluent town in the Northeast, you kind of got to pick. Like, are you a Cape family, Hampton family, Nantucket family? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I didn't grow up around here. I'm from Chicago, from the suburbs of Chicago, so.
probably shortly after that, I started to develop the character as the PE guy started as the guy you get stuck talking to at a wedding.
Johnny's rise on the internet is a reminder to all of us that sometimes it's just paying a little bit attention to real life and be more human. Sharing the stuff that you enjoy, that fill your cup every day, is what we should all strive for.
There'd be no way I could explain to younger me how we got here, and I would not put any more weight on this moment than the moment of becoming a SoulCycle instructor. I don't believe that anyone else's path to success is going to be mine, and mine is mine 100%. As long as what you're doing every day makes you feel good and you're saying yes to the right things in life. So, and that doesn't mean you quit your job at Goldman Sachs and go open an art studio, but like maybe you do it on the side. Like you got to fill your cup, because I know that Goldman Sachs job isn't filling your cup. Sorry.
I enjoy this conversation through and through. I think you would too. This is Escape 9 to 5, and I'm Lydia. I'm a banker turned entrepreneur. Escape 9 to 5 is my selfish quest to hear stories like this and being reminded that we all have our own talents and our stories to uncover. And today I bring you the guest, Johnny Hilbrant. Let's dive in. Hi, Johnny.
Hi, Lydia.
It's so nice to see you again. We met
It's
like
nice
a
to see you
month
again.
or so ago. Yeah. The PE guy in the flesh without the filter.
Love the face.
So the podcast is called Escape 9 to 5. In this podcast, I usually talk to people who have created a very interesting portfolio life for themselves, be it like author, investor, or like yourself, Instagram persona. I'm very excited to talk to you with your climbing fame this year from 10K to 150K. Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, I'm excited too. So usually to start, ask my guests icebreakers, two truths and a lie about your Escape 9 to 5 journey. If you can share 3 statements with me, and then I will guess which one is the lie.
Yeah. So I worked at the Ellen DeGeneres show right out of college. I was in a movie, and I am a twin.
I think you were not in a movie because I feel like you worked at the Ellen DeGeneres show, and then I read it somewhere you are a twin. Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
How long did you work at the Ellen DeGeneres show?
I was at Ellen for 2 years.
Oh, wow. I used to
Yeah.
love to watch the show, but then now it's gone. Was that a typical 9 to 5 job, or it's more like creative?
No, well, I don't know if it was creative. It was more just like 12 hours a day, a lot of production. I was a production assistant, and that work is pretty manual and like monotonous. A lot of the things that like reading through emails from fans and looking for content to pass on to producers, and then things like setting up lighting and driving to get people's lunches. So it was pretty like grueling in that way, and not typical 9 to 5 in that way, but also just kind of putting in the work. I guess if you're going to go into production, it's kind of like it's an entry level, typical job for somebody going into production, especially in a talk show or for Yeah.
Yeah, must be very stressed, I guess, 12 hours a day. And then I didn't know that you have a resignation story until I read your Instagram post. I couldn't even remember which firm was that. And
Yes.
then that was the point I was like, I need to reach out to you. So I really wanted to learn about your
Yeah.
journey all the way from the beginning because you had a business degree. When was the time you quit that one and all the other stepping stones until now?
Yeah, so the business, I graduated from the University of Denver in 2012 with a business degree, and then I went to LA to work at Ellen for 2 years, and then I moved home. I left LA, I moved back to Chicago where I'm from, and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life. So I started trying a bunch of things, was interviewing for any kind of sales job I could get interviewed for because people said, you're good with people, so you'll be good at sales. And I don't think that that's actually like, I don't think that always translates.
Yeah.
So I got this sales job as a carrier sales representative at a freight company. So, or at a logistics company. So they book freight. A company will reach out and say, hey, we're Niagara Water and we're sending a massive truckload of waters from Florida to Pennsylvania. We're going to pay you X number of dollars, the company, to find us the truck that's going to do that, the company that's going to do that. So my job was to reach out and build a book of business for myself, like single operators, truck drivers, and then trucking companies. So I was just hitting the phones all day long at this company.
Gosh.
And that was the one that I posted about quitting in an email. I was only there for
Yeah.
5 weeks. Yeah.
I was like, you were too nice because you actually wanted to quit way earlier. And
Yeah,
then the
2
guy
weeks
who
in, I
hired
wanted to
you,
quit.
and then the guy who hired you was very mad about that. Then you wait for another
Yeah.
3 weeks.
Yeah,
And
exactly. I gave
what
him
happened
3 more weeks, and I was like, I can't do this.
after you send the email? What did he say?
I did get a response from the owner of the company saying, thanks for trying this out, wishing you the best. And then I don't think I got a response from my manager.
Okay.
No, he
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 was
was
probably
mad.
still mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think many people have that moment of they figure that, oh, this job is not for me. For you, because you realize it's 2 weeks in, and then after that, did you just go straight to what, Barry's? What happened in between?
SoulCycle. Yeah, then I pretty much went right into SoulCycle. So I started going as a rider to SoulCycle. Loved it. Auditioned a few months after my first ride, got into training, moved to New York for training. This was when SoulCycle was, it was a little bit more in its heyday. And then I moved to New York for training, and then they moved me to Boston, which is where I live now. And then I
Yeah.
added berries on this year.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because actually we met over the summer in Interesting People 3, this conference that Andrew Wilkinson put together. I have no clue who you are. It's a me problem. So I keep apologizing to people. But when you went onto the stage and you talked about SoulCycle and berries, I was immediately interested because myself, I have a transformation story. I went through a breakup and then I keep going to cycling classes. I was in Hong Kong. There's no SoulCycle. And then I got certified as an instructor with Les Mills. And I also keep going to berries. I have like, I don't know,
Yeah,
300 something classes at berries.
I
That's how
love
we
that.
bonded. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I picked up from the story actually. You don't have a traditional, very, very traditional 9 to 5 job. To start with, like a lot of people, they do this corporate type of job, but many guests I interviewed, they always have something on the side that they will be able to try out a little bit. As you mentioned, for SoulCycle, you went in as a just like a writer, and then you love it, and then you develop this different identity, and then you develop a life around it. When you start to do that, did you get any like pushback from your friends or immediately family?
Yeah, I think that people were a little bit shocked but also not. I think people who really know me were like, you know what, I understand you're not going to be a traditional 9 to 5 kind of person, but I think a lot of people were like, you have to do something that's going to make you enough money to pay your bills and stuff. And actually it turns out SoulCycle was paying really well in 2016. They paid really well, and if you taught 15 classes a week, you got paid per class, and you got paid, they don't have a membership, so it's like everyone pays $30 to be there. And if you have
Hmm.
57 bikes full and everyone's paid 30 bucks to be there, they can afford to pay you well. So SoulCycle was popping off. They were paying instructors really well. So I had benefits, I had 401k, I had PTO, I had healthcare, health insurance. So I was like, this is great because I actually it was the first job that I had where I was like, oh, I can actually, you know, I feel at the same level as some of my peers. Like I don't feel like it's like, oh, I can't go on that vacation because I don't have a job. Or I was like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of making some money where I could save some money now. So, but it was a lot of hard work on my body.
How many classes
Yeah,
did you teach per week?
I was at a point for a couple of years where I was teaching 17 classes a week permanently. I had Tuesdays and Thursdays off, and I think I taught 3 Monday, 3 Wednesday, 3 Friday, 3 Saturday, Sunday. So what is that? 15.
Like
Yeah, 15. And
three
then
classes a day?
maybe I added 2 on Thursday for a couple of years or something. But and then you're subbing a lot. So, but it was the time to do it. Like I was younger, SoulCycle was popping off, so it was like they were doing really well. So it was just a good time all around.
Yeah. I have a lot of gym instructor friends because I was going through this certification process. At the time was in Hong Kong. There's no SoulCycle. It's just this chain. It's kind of like Equinox in Hong Kong. And
Yeah.
then there are a lot of professionals, including myself, like some people, they are, let's say, a PE person, but then they will also teach in a class just on a
Yeah.
Sunday or something. And they pay you by class, but then there's nothing else. I think for me, it's a great deal if I actually get to teach, but eventually I moved to London, so I didn't teach. I think it's a good deal because you get to exercise anyways, and then you motivate
Right.
people. Yeah.
Exactly.
But this is good to know because I think a lot of people, including we're going to get to the origin moment about the PE guy. A lot of people, like they work in private equity. I'm from the financial industry as well. I know a lot of private equity and bankers, the finance bros. They might assume that, oh, you worked as instructor. Or they kind of talk to you in a certain way. Was that the trigger for the origin story of the PE guy?
Yeah, I think that was the origin story of the PE guy. I think it was just me having interactions with a lot of people that were in those positions, and then they'd say, "What do you do?" And then I'd say, "Oh, I teach at SoulCycle," and they couldn't figure out a way to relate to me, and it felt like they were just like immediately, and some people it felt like they weren't interested in a conversation because we weren't able to, like, we weren't speaking the same language, so to speak. It was like, okay, he's this, like, immediately looking down on me,
Oh,
because I'm not. So I feel like I had a couple, not a lot, not many, but there were definitely a few interactions a year, probably at meeting strangers, people at weddings, things like that, just talking to people. And that's kind of where it came from, I think.
so that you have several of the encounters, and then there's one time you went to a wedding, and then the guy just kept talking to you while very drunk. I remember you told
Yeah.
this story on stage. I found it very interesting. If you can tell us again here, my
Yeah.
audience will
Yeah.
get
So
to
I
know.
think there are definitely a couple instances like this, but one that I can think of is I was at a wedding I think it was in Brooklyn, and I just got cornered. I was standing with a group of people, and this guy was standing with his girlfriend or wife, and they were talking to the whole group. And then all of a sudden, people started to kind of fall off. Like I could tell people were uninterested in talking to this guy, and I stayed and I was engaging with him because I'm a nice guy. And then before I knew it, it was just he and I talking and him talking at me. And I kind of backed into a corner. We're in a crowded bar, I think, at the welcome party. And I was like backing into a corner, and I found myself up against a wall in a corner with this guy just talking all about himself and his job and how like amazing his pay is, and how he just had a month-long paid leave that he had to take for work. And I was just like, and the only thing he could say to relate to me was like, "Oh yeah, I have a Peloton at home," and I was just like, I don't
That he never
know.
used.
Yeah, no, he probably never used it. And that's the thing, like, I was just like, probably shortly after that, I started to develop the character as the PE guy started as the guy you get stuck talking to at a wedding. So
Yeah.
he wasn't in PE, but then he ended up being in PE.
Your whole persona is you mimicking that guy.
Yeah. He's just the inspiration for it. And then I exaggerated it like immensely.
It was
Yeah.
so funny because I remember that they were having lunch. I couldn't even find you on Instagram. I think the algorithm didn't match that to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But after I followed it, I was like, every single video was so funny.
Thank you.
Yeah, because I can also pick up the PE guy type of personality whenever I'm in a coffee shop. You know, those people who walked in have a certain vibe. They talked in a
Yeah.
certain way, like, oh, last week in San Francisco, we met Sequoia, that kind of
Right.
vibe.
Right.
And then I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, these people. It's even more extreme in Hong Kong. I wanted to know though, like, because you were consistently posting before that, right? And how long did it
Yeah.
take for you to post the first, like you wanted to post stuff, create content on internet till it took off
I think I've been posting on Instagram since you could post on Instagram, like
10 years
since you
ago?
could post videos on Instagram. So like I've just always posted there, and I've always been a public account. And but the one thing that I had never done is post to Reels. So
Mm-hmm.
I was posting on TikTok a little bit, and like I got some traction there, but not really. So I'd never posted on Reels, and someone said, "Don't post this on your story. Post it to a Reel." And I was like, "Eh," and I did, and then all of a sudden it just took off, and that was in March.
Oh, wow. Was it always the same type of format? Or did you try different?
I try different things. I still do different things on my stories, but like the filtered face was something I think I've tried, and I've posted a couple different characters. Like during the pandemic, I did a lot of that. I did a lot of
Right.
random filtered faces during the pandemic,
Yeah.
and then posted them as stories, I think, for the most part, not really as I didn't think about posting them as a reel. But this, I think this is just one character of many. And the reason you're seeing more of him is because he kind of went viral and people like him. So that's why my page has pretty much become PE guy, which I'm okay with. Yeah.
So the other filter I have seen is also there is a wife figure.
Mm-hmm.
That's also quite funny as well.
The stressed out mama. Yeah.
Yes, stressed out mama. How did you take inspiration from? So now you have two main characters. One is the stressed out mama, the other is the PE guy. I guess you
Yeah.
like, because I have a YouTube channel. Sometimes I don't really run out of content or ideas, but it's difficult to keep posting one thing and come up
Yeah.
with sometimes new things. What is your creation process like now, day to
Like, for
day?
instance, so every once in a while, something will come from somebody else. Someone will say, "You have to do this town, you have to do this thing, or talk about this." And I'll say, "Okay, thanks for the inspo." And then I'll take that idea and run with it. Or, like, for instance, I was in the car this morning and I was driving, and I thought to myself, I pulled up my note app and I started dictating to my phone, and I said, I kind of wrote a script a little bit while driving that was just, I think what I'm going to try today, I'm going to film this today. It's going to be me, Johnny, interacting with PE guy at a wedding or at
Oh,
like how it started. So it's going to be like the PE guy talking to me and saying, "So what do you do?" And then me saying, "Oh, I teach at SoulCycle." And then him saying, "Oh, I have a Peloton." Exactly. And exactly the kind of the origin story of PE guy, where the inspiration for PE guy came from. That I want that scene to live on my Instagram page. So I'm going to do that today, for example. Like, so there's just things just inspire me, like, maybe a news story about PE buying something. Like they just, Sycamore just bought Walgreens, like that's like a topical thing that is actually interesting too. It's an interesting, like, it's like one of the biggest deals. Can't remember, it was like one of the biggest private equity deals like ever or something like that. And
oh,
and so I'm also like learning a little bit about the world of
yeah.
private equity without
I
I
feel
never intended to.
Yeah, I feel like now you're so, because I follow some of the Wall Street account, like over I think I follow the
Yeah.
puberty account.
And
Whenever
liquidity. Yeah.
puberty, liquidity,
Yeah.
sometimes they post something and then I saw you post something. It feels like you're
Yeah.
very much in the trend.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because now you started as like a satire account and then now you're following all the P deals.
Right. And I just did a deal with Wall Street Prep. I just did a
Yeah,
brand collab with them. And
yeah.
that was like a really cool, they reached out to me and they were like, "We'd love to." And I was like, I never would have in a million years thought someone like you would reach out to me. But here we are. So
I read somewhere else that some PE firms they also reach out to you. Did you go on a lot of the performance like that, or you're choosing more intentionally on those offers and
the
invitations?
I'm trying to be a little more intentional about those things for sure. And some of them are, they want me to zoom in, to a thing, and I'm like, I can't because I have to have the filter, so that's a limiting factor. But a lot of them will have me make a video for their teammate or for an event and to kick off an event or something like that. So that's been fun.
What is the most interesting request you've ever received so far?
I'll say two things. One is because it's more of like a theme instead of one exact video, because I've made over 450 of these cameos, these
Wow.
requested videos. And I would say that I've had a couple times I've had people say, like, basically they're like, you have to call my friend a name, like a really bad name, or
Uh-huh.
like we just beat him in fantasy football. We want to rip him apart. Like, our friend just got divorced. We hated his wife. Like that. So like, tell him how much we hated her. Like that whole thing where I have to say what people, because they're paying me, that makes me a little, and it's a lot of guys being like mean to their friends as a joke, but it still makes me uncomfortable because I'm like, what if this isn't a joke?
Yeah.
So that's a big, and then I think um, one that was really shocking was I made a 60-second video for someone, and he said, "What's your Venmo?" And then I sent him my Venmo, and he sent me $700 for
Wow.
60
Is that
second video, and I was like, okay, that was nuts. I was like, did you mean to do that?
I don't know about the rates in like celebrities and influencers like yourself. So is that the highest so far that you get for 60-second?
Um,
What is the usual
that's
rate for Cameo? I don't
my
know.
cameos are listed on the Cameo app for $200.
Okay.
But sometimes people will say, they'll either send me a tip on Venmo or they'll do it. They won't use Cameo because they'll be like, I hate using the Cameo app. A lot of people are like, Cameo takes 30% from you, so I'd rather just give it to you. Uh, but it's created this little business for myself that's like, that I, I've like almost already made more money than I did when I was working in real life, like, like on just this little side business. So it's a
Mm-hmm.
cool thing because I feel like I can promote it and be authentic, and everything that comes from it comes to me, with the exception of what goes to the government for taxes. But, it's like a cool little side business, which I never could have imagined. So,
Yeah. It just goes to say
and
that
it's
like
fun.
everyone can start something on the side and doesn't because you have previously you have SoulCycle, now you stop doing SoulCycle, you're just on berries, and it's like I know for instructors, if you taught 3 classes a day, it's actually a lot every day, like to take
Yeah.
your energy away. And then you're basically having like 2 jobs at the same time, but you still were able to develop this new character. How's your day in the life look like now? You have created this portfolio life for yourself. What does a
Yeah.
usual typical Tuesday look like for you?
So I teach 2 classes on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. So I will wake up early in the morning. This morning I taught 6:10 and 7:20. Then I'll come home. I will review, which I do this on the weekends too. I'll review any like Cameo requests or emails from brands that want to talk. So I'll like look at my schedule. I've got a couple of meetings today. I'm filming this with you. And then like when I get off this call, this is typical to any day. I have 5 or 6 cameos like ready to go that I have the script written out for. I'm going to go upstairs and film them, and then I edit them, and which probably takes, now that I'm using the correct software, probably takes me less than 10 minutes per video to edit. And then I'll export them, email them to the customer, if you want to call them that. And then they'll say, love it, great, or hey, you mispronounced my name, or whatever it is. And then I redo it, and then I will write my script for my video I was telling you I want to post today. I'll write that. I have somebody coming to my house. We just moved, so someone's coming to my house to measure for rugs. Then I'm gonna film that video at 3:30, and then I'm gonna post it at 5 o'clock Eastern, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna like make dinner and go to bed. Like, so it's a crazy day. I'm randomly very busy all of a sudden somehow with all this.
Depending on how many requests you get from Cameo. So let's say, so you have a very structured day. You wake up the 5 a.m. club to go to the gym, teach other people to be healthy and be healthy yourself. And then you talk to some people like myself, maybe like get some other things that's not about the PE and talk about your interesting journey. And it sounded to me like most of your work is done in the first half of the day, and
Yeah.
you protect the afternoon to yourself,
Yeah.
which is, I think it's a really, really good structure. Would you say that being as an instructor at the beginning helped you to have this structure and discipline to really keep it consistent? Because not many people,
Yeah.
some people, they will blow up overnight and then you will never hear from them again, right? Like being
Yeah.
consistent and this quality, I can see that from your perspective. It's like really, really important here.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm consistent for the things that matter and that are worth being consistent for. So like, health for myself, motivating other people. I know that people count on me in my fitness classes that I teach. So like there's not an option to not go or to not get up and go. And then for this PE stuff, it's like you could stop. I could stop today. No one says I have to do anything. Same with berries. I could stop. But I keep going because I think it's fulfilling in a way. I love making people laugh. I love making people better versions of themselves when they're exercising, and I love making people laugh. And so I can do both those things now and on a larger scale at on Instagram, which is crazy.
Yeah. It sounds like a very ideal life to me. You said that you wanted to make people a better version of themselves and make them laugh. Is there any bigger mission tying both fitness and comedy together for you? Do you have like an
Well,
origin story from since when you were a kid that if you look back today, that you'd be like, yes, Johnny, you've made it.
I would say I would say that there would be no way I could explain to younger me how we got here, how we are where we are. But I would say there's gonna be some really great moments. And I would not put any more weight on this moment than the moment of becoming a SoulCycle instructor. Just because it's like this bigger moment. I think that like I've always been able to make people laugh in my fitness classes too, which is
Yeah.
part of the best part of it. So I think I would say you're going to be able to, whatever you do with your life, you're going to be able to make people laugh every day. And that would be the ultimate goal. And I would be like, that's great. And then, and it's going to be, you'll make people laugh on a small scale and you make people laugh on a big scale. And I would love to turn this into continuing to grow it to, 1 million followers on Instagram and a TV show, but who knows?
Yeah, a TV show.
Yeah.
How do you envision the TV show? Let's entertain that idea.
Yeah. I've actually been talking with some people about this because I could see it being, you would remove the filter. It wouldn't be the face filter anymore, obviously, but it would just be about a character it would be a comedy about a character who is like deeply lonely, but is trying to fill a void with his success and his like, because this character gets so excited to tell you how awesome his life is, right? And he's like, he gets so excited about that because you can tell he's lonely and he's not really fulfilled by his money and his private equity. But he wants you to think he is. So I think that there's a comedy with an underlying message in there somewhere eventually.
Now I've learned a little bit more about your story just in the past half an hour. I can tell because when you say you wanted to make people laugh, the Ellen show is also like a show to make people laugh. I used to watch that show and it always makes me laugh. And then making people laugh in the fitness class is kind of new. I feel like usually the instructors are just like inspirational.
Yeah.
The funny type of, how do you make people laugh in a fitness class?
I try to do a little bit of I try to motivate and then also make people laugh. And I think that like I kind of just poke fun at myself. If I mess something up, I'll make people laugh. I'll just like maybe tell a little story from my weekend just to like humanize
Yeah.
myself, because I think those spaces can sometimes be so intimidating for people, and especially
Mhm.
new people. And I think they come in and there's this giant guy in the front of the room on a bike and like he's yelling at you, and to just be like, hey, I'm human too. Like I'm not
Yeah.
some like celebrity star on a bike, like perfect athlete. Like I'm also out of breath, like I think some people really like that, and maybe some don't, but I think that the people come to my class, I think that they find that I'm I'm pretty level and human with them. you know.
Yeah, I think being a human is actually a very important part of anything in life. And what you just mentioned about this lonely guy character, maybe one day you put it on TV, reminded me of many people I know. Unfortunately, I used to be surrounded by those people in the finance industry. This show, sometimes I send it to my friends. They're like good people, but then I think sometimes they kind of lost themselves. If you were to give
Yeah.
them a little bit of trick for them to entertain the idea of escaping the trap for themselves, what would you say?
Well, I think it'd be hard because I don't think I've luckily never had to escape that trap, but I would say, you know, I would say something as long as what you're doing every day makes you feel good and you're saying yes to the right things in life and no to like empty things, then you're not doing any wrong. And also just if they're stuck in a trap where where they act like this character, I would just say to somebody, and I have friends like this too. I have said to them before, how do you think what you're saying is being perceived by the person you're saying it to? Like just watch yourself. Like just remember that not everybody flies a private plane or not everybody has a job making $1 million a year. Like, just so I don't know. It's probably a hard thing to get if you've gone to the best schools always and you went to the best business school and you had the best job always and you haven't had like for me, I never fit in that world. So I was never a great student. I never wanted to go to business school. I never wanted to go work a desk job. I wasn't motivated by money when I was younger. I was never motivated by like, oh, I have to be the person who makes the most money out of college. But if you always have that stuff, I'm sure it's really hard to get unwrapped from that. Like it becomes
Yeah.
like a part of who you are. And you could never pause and go, wait, did I actually want to be an actress? Or did I actually want, and I think that's where they can look back 10, 15 years after college or 20 years after college and go, oh my gosh, did I do the wrong thing? But it would be horrifying to have that realization. So, um, I
Yeah.
think I think people need to just like you said, like we said, be more human. So, and that doesn't mean you quit your job at Goldman Sachs and go open an art studio, but like maybe you do it on the side. Like you got to fill
Yes.
your cup because I know that Goldman Sachs job isn't filling your cup. Sorry. Like it's not.
It resonates with me so much because I think like the way that I was raised is always you need to become a certain type of employee, like banker, doctor, lawyer. I'm also Chinese. There's no other ways to go around it. And also
Yeah.
I always needed a visa to go somewhere that I want to live. And then life just doesn't allow me to do that. I got laid off twice. Each time I end up in a better place. Like now I have a talent visa that allows me to do what I really want to do. I talk to my friends, they're still in their fancy banking, private equity, buy side job because of who I used to be. And I think they know I know what the deal is. I don't think they would try to talk down to me. But then I can see that in their mind, it kind of doesn't make sense for them for a bit. That's why I really appreciate this conversation that I have on this podcast. I talk to you, I talk to people like Andrew Wilkinson, Anya, and all of these people, different type of paths to show that you find who you are as a person, what really always has been inspiration for you since you were a kid, and then keep going at it. One day you'll be able to find yourself. I think that's really important for
Yeah.
everyone. Let's talk about what's
100%.
next for you. So you
Yeah.
talked about this TV show. Is it actually going to have a TV show?
I would love that.
Okay. What else are you thinking? Because I think we just talked about the numbers, right? I don't know whether you're comfortable telling me the number, but then imagine you have more, twice of your current pay in being an instructor at Barry's. Are you going to just full time going into this character? And what other stuff that
Yeah,
you will do?
I think I want to keep just doing what feels right and like say no to things that don't feel right. And I've had to say no to some things and I've had to listen to people's advice and kind of also just go like, thank you for the advice, but I'm not, you know, I appreciate it, but I'm not changing the way I'm doing things. Some people have said you need to start doing a different character. And I'm like, the numbers on the Instagram say otherwise. So I want to evolve my page to be like a comedy. I want people to come there for comedy. I don't know if it'll be 100% just the PE guy or if there will be 5 other characters in a year, but the goal is to just continue to make people laugh regardless of the money of it. Maybe people stop wanting cameos, maybe brands stop wanting to work with me, but I mean, who knows what it looks like. But as long as I have eyeballs on my content, I want it to be stuff that makes people feel good and laugh and push the boundaries a little bit without being offensive. My goal is to never offend anybody, but comedy can always kind of ruffle feathers here and there. So I want to make sure I keep it real, keep people laughing, continue to grow, and I also want to not be afraid to try something new. So that being said, the PE guy is working really well, but I want to be not afraid to, for example, the video I want to film today of myself
Yeah.
talking to PE guy, that's different. That's hard for me to, like that's different. It's going to be a different thing. How will people think of it? Will they say, we don't want to see your face. We want PE, like, so, but I
Oh,
want to not
okay.
be
Yeah,
afraid
yeah.
of that. Yeah.
Yeah. The courage to be disliked. The
Yeah.
good book.
And to like know that maybe the comments are maybe not as good as they were on the last video. Like, okay, be okay with that because it's not about one person's comment.
Do you read all the comments?
I don't usually. I'll see them pop up on my notifications, but they go so fast that I don't. And Instagram does a really good job of filtering any bad ones, and
Oh.
it hides them. And then, but every once in a while, there will probably once every 2 weeks, someone says this isn't funny or this guy is not funny. And I'm like, usually I have fun with it. I respond something like just jokey, and that makes them even more mad. But I shouldn't read them. I shouldn't respond. But they are, for the most part, like 99% very positive, which is really, I feel lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. I think
Yeah.
it's because your videos are actually really, really funny. I think sometimes people, for the bad comments stuff, I also have bad comments on my YouTube channel. My account is very small, right? So whenever I get bad comments, I'm actually happy because it just means that it has reached to a different type of groups of people. The
Yeah,
first
that's a good way to look
ever
at it.
comment, yeah, the first comment I got when I have 200 subscribers and then this video have like thousands of views is horrible video. And then I was like, okay. Then
Yeah.
there's other people who comment on that. So I was like, fine. I think comedy has started to, I now look at it in a way that it really can help us to lighten the mood a little bit, no matter what you're looking at in life. You were pretty open, I think, about your loss in life. If you wanted to
Yeah.
share a little bit with us and how you use comedy and different perspectives to look at those moments.
Yeah. I have always used comedy, I think I had a kind of tumultuous upbringing. I had a great life, but I think my home life was chaotic. My parents got divorced. They fought all the time. So I think I kind of turned to comedy at a young age to deal with my parents hating each other's guts and kind of like working through that. And then 3.5 years ago, my twin sister passed away. And suddenly, that was like, I think probably
Must be
for a
hard.
year. Yeah, I think for a year I was pretty like I went off Instagram fully. I went off TikTok. I deleted the apps. I was just like, why? And I think now looking back, I'm like, well, I didn't realize how dark it was, and it still is. I mean, it will always have its thing, but I think right immediately after that, I was like, this is like, without knowing it, I was like, you're in a really bad place. And then I think when I kind of emerged from the hole in the ground that I was in, I had a little bit of a different perspective. And I was like, I have to change some things. I stopped drinking because it was making me angry, thinking about my sister and stuff. So I was like, you know what? I stopped drinking 2 years ago. And then I kind of like felt like there was possibility for me in life, which I didn't feel after my sister died. I was just like, and I think after the pandemic and everything, I was just like, this is like, what are we doing here? And it was very depressing. And then my sister dies and I was like, now I really can't die. And then my dog died a year after my sister, or actually my dog died last year, my soul dog, and she died in an accident. It was horrible.
Yeah.
So but all of those things I think have kind of like motivated me to like take the risk, do something different, make people laugh, like live every day to its fullest, because I have seen two examples of people think, my sister and my dog right in front of me die suddenly, with no warning. And it's just like a shocking. So, I've always turned to comedy as a, even dark comedy about death. Like it is very therapeutic for me. And some people don't get it and it's very jarring for them. They're like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about death. I don't think it's funny. I don't think, but for me, it's like it's very soothing to make light of anything, because there's some sort of like cleansing that comes over me when I'm laughing with people, even if it's about something I'm like, I shouldn't be laughing about, you know?
Yeah. Thanks for sharing all of those, because I read it somewhere about your dog. I didn't know what happened with your sister, but I imagine even if it's a sibling, it's a lot, but it's your twin sister. You were basically together
Yeah.
before you were born.
Yeah.
So it must be very heavy. So how do you at the time when you finally got out of those losses, lost in life? How do you um, make the mood lighter? Did you make content about that, or is it
I
more
made
generic
I
topic
first
about?
made content about my sister dying. I think I was like, I was kind of like turning to like a grief community on TikTok, because there was a lot of that and it's really nice.
Yeah.
And so I was posting about that, but it was more serious. And then same with the dog. But I think I also did post some like kind of, humorous things about my sister passing away too on Instagram. And some people are like, "Oh my gosh, this is dark," or "This is a lot." Yeah, I think that with that kind of stuff, you just like, I was like, I'm glad I'm talking about it. Even if I'm making a joke, obviously not making a joke about my sister dying, but I'll say things like in front of people. I'll just be like, yeah, and like, well, I have a dead sister, and people are like, oh my God, like they're like, they get so shocked by it. And I'm like, I think they're like,
But
you said that so bluntly. And I'm like, well, it's extremely blunt for me. It's my reality. My reality. I'm sorry that my reality is too blunt for you, like, so I have like some fun with it. And I think that you have to, if you're not laughing about it, you're crying about it. So, or you're doing both. And at the same time, like I will say things to people like, my sister had the audacity to just drop dead, like, how dare she, and people like don't know if they should laugh or
yeah,
not.
yeah,
But I have to find ways to laugh about it, because if you're not
yeah.
laughing, you are crying literally.
I also think that the ability to be able to make it more light is when you're already, from deep down, you've moved on from it. And in the same time, you're remembering this person or your sister and your dog who used to be like, that were really, really important to you. I went to Trevor Noah's comedy show, and then he said the difference between something that's really bad and a comedy is the time in between. So the longer, no matter what happened, the longer in between, easier it is to make it as a more humorous
That's funny.
story.
That's actually really
Yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
actually true, I think. So
Yeah. I think so.
I'm going to host my first comedy night soon after the
Yeah.
interesting. I decided to host a comedy
That's
night
awesome.
called Founder Mode with the twist. It's a story of how to build a climate tech startup as a female founder in 2025. Just by saying that, I feel like it's very funny. For someone like me, I think the topic will be something like a founder's stories and how hard it is to build something in this area. What's your advice on making subjects feel lighter and easier for more serious topic like finance and climate?
Yeah. I mean, because I don't usually talk about those things, but like I do talk about serious subjects, and I think that like it comes back to just being human with people, and like if you're if you because like people can, if you're talking about something to educate somebody, like the facts about that thing are very, there, like you can find those facts online. You can use ChatGPT for these things. So like it's more like, how can you use like personal stories and be human with people to like make them relate and teach them something that they could never learn from the internet. Like that, I
Mm.
think humanizing it, and that can make things lighter, I think. And more, I mean, you hear about people using at IP3, we heard about people using story for like fundraising, like if you don't have a story, you're just another person in front of people asking for money. And, but like, let's hear your story. Like, let's hear, like, so I think and I think that making it lighter, like something that is inherently already heavy, like you can't make it lighter, but you can dance around it better. You can make it more digestible. You can like feed it to somebody slowly instead of having it be like, here's this thing,
Yeah.
So I think that would be my
Oh,
advice probably.
those are very good tricks. Thank you. Speaking
Yeah.
of fundraising, we're talking about what's next. Would you ever in a day, like one day, entertain the idea of getting money from some VCs? Because I listened to the other podcast. There is some VCs that are actually looking for creators to, just to invest in them.
Yeah. So I have heard of that. And I actually just set up a meeting with someone who does that. And she was like, I want to talk to you about this. So it was my first meeting with somebody like that. The only way I'd be interested in something like that is if somebody were, I mean, I would love for someone to take a bet on me and to say like,
Yeah.
we're going to take you to the moon and we're going to take this to the moon together. So yeah. Like if you want to, it's kind of like signing on with an agency who says we're going to take 20%, but we're going to make sure that we 10x your deals this year, So yeah, I'm open to every conversation about this because I'm just learning. Like I'm learning every day. I'm making mistakes every day. I'm figuring it out. I'm like not being too hard on myself. I'm doing it all by myself and in a way that makes it lonely, but it's also so cool and invigorating because it's just like, a VC could approach you and say, hey, we're going to pay you this. We just did this with this person. Look at what we did for them. Let's work together. I'm like, I can at least have a conversation with you,
Yeah. Yeah, that's so cool. A lot of the people, because I'm doing my own startup journey, it's kind of like if you get VC money, the first question is the debate between freedom and control. For example, I had Anya on the show and she's just like not going to take any VC. What does freedom mean to you? Like if you're like not right now, it sounded to me and feels like you have a pretty balanced and nice life. And what does freedom look and feel like for you in, let's say, 3 years later when you become much, much bigger?
I would say like as long as that's a good point because if you give up, I mean, if you have an investor, you give up control a little bit, right? Like, and there's things that you might want to do that they say, we're not going to do that because now we own you or we own part of you. So I think that I would need to maintain 100% control of me no matter what or at least majority control of me and my business, whatever, so that I have the ultimate say no matter what. And that I hope that I never would sell out and let somebody start telling me what we're going to do, without me saying, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Just because it didn't come from me doesn't mean I want everything to be my idea, whether it came to me because someone said this is a great idea for you, or it's because I came up with it. Because I got here, I have to bet on myself no matter what. I have to always bet on myself. Even though there are people who have done this before me, who have 15 million followers, like I don't believe that anyone else's path to success is going to be mine. And mine is mine 100%. No one helped me get here. No one. So I think that I need to maintain the freedom no matter what moving forward to make the decisions for me and my brand, 100%.
Everyone's journey is different. Is there anything that you missed before you got this fame? Because I recently saw a story you were recognized by people and they sent you a photo.
Yeah. People recognize me pretty much everywhere I go, which is really fun. I love that right now. I mean, because it's new. So it's like I'll go to the local grocery store near here, or I'll teach a class and they'll say, hey, I'm here because I'm in town from Philadelphia and I love you. And I'm like, oh, that's so fun. But I do miss now I feel like I need to be careful with my own personal life on Instagram. I need to keep like my friends and family and my husband out of it because I don't want I want privacy for my family. Now I'm a little bit like, okay, there's a lot of new eyeballs on you and not everyone's nice. And not everyone has perfect good intentions. So I'm like, now I'm like, okay, well, if I'm going home to my sister's baby's first birthday party next weekend, like I'm not posting a picture of my sister's baby, like I'm not
No,
posting a
no.
picture with my sister and saying, this is my sister. Now I feel like there's a little bit of like a temptation to be like 100% open about my life, which is fine. But it's a different, I'm like, I don't think that these new followers deserve to know everything about me or to know my
Yeah.
heart, which is what I initially, on Instagram, I think most of my 7,000 followers that I'd had for a long time, those people, they knew everything. They knew about the dog dying. They knew about my sister. They knew how I was feeling. Like if it was a bad, and so now I'm like, these people are here to be entertained by PE guy or by a similar character. They are not here to know about my life, which is fine, but I do miss it to some extent. I'm like, oh, that's kind of sad. Like it's the death of my Johnny Hilbrant page. Now it's PE guy.
Yeah, you still have the Johnny Hilbrant page. I think it's the being human and making people laugh every day, no matter what you do. That's
Yeah,
really, really
yeah,
important. I
totally.
think it's a good time to go for the lightning round. So I have the 3, 2, 1 lightning round. The first
Yeah.
one is 3 quick tricks you give someone to be funny on stage or in front of a camera. We've touched upon it a little bit. If you can give us 3 tricks.
Yeah, I would say remembering that even the best comedians or the best people who stand up in front of people get terribly nervous and you just wouldn't know. Another trick that I use is don't think about what you look like up there. Don't envision yourself as the audience looking at you, because then you're going to like start picking yourself apart and be like, oh, they're thinking like his pants look stupid or, like, and then you're not even thinking about what you're doing.
Yeah.
And also one other thing that someone told me right before my sister's funeral, because I was going to give a talk and I was nervous. They said, find something in the back of the room and look at it and fixate on it. Like, and just have that be the thing that you look at. So I was like, I was in a church giving a eulogy basically, but they're like, if you're really nervous, and in this moment I was terrified to do this in front of all these people at my sister's funeral, I found like a red light. They were recording the service. I found a red light in the back of the church. And that's where my eyes always went back to. Because I would wander and I would look and I'd see someone. I'd go, oh my God, is that my 5th grade teacher? Like, and then your brain is like, so it's just like focus on that. So those are my 3 things.
Yeah, thanks. The second one is 2 PE guy catchphrases you'll never get tired of.
I think substantial is one. Substantial, because I just love the way that rolls off. A printing. When I say that a company is printing, because I spit when I do it, and I like literally watch the spit fly, and it's so fun to say, like just with such intensity. Printing and substantial, I think, are my 2. And ask me in a couple months if they've gotten old for me or not, but I like them now.
Yeah, I'm already laughing. Can you do an impression, if I may, using those 2 catchphrases together?
Yeah, which one?
Substantial and printing.
Yeah. So I would say something like, we just invested in some pediatric dental companies across the West Coast, and they're doing substantially. Yeah, and they're printing. They're just absolutely printing. Yeah. Sounding like I literally just spit into my microphone. I'm sure people's ears are like blown out.
Oh my God, I'm laughing my tears. So funny. Okay, finally, 1 sentence you'd whisper to your 25-year-old self. What would you say to him?
Oh boy, I would say you're doing this right. You're doing this right. Keep saying yes to things that feel good and no to things that don't, no matter what.
This is so good. I need to frame it
Thank
in
you.
my...
Yeah, it sounds so simple. It really sounds so simple, but like there have been opportunities for me where people are like, "Oh, you could come work at this company," and I'm like, in my heart, does that feel good? Like you have to say no. You have to say no. Like did this SoulCycle feel good? Were people like, "What are you doing?" Yes, but it felt good. It felt right. Just say yes to the things that feel right, and things will open up.
This is amazing. My God, I love this conversation. I just need this. Finally, we have a closing tradition. It's the last guest left the question for you. The first is, first of all, are you happy? And if not, what's one small step you could take today towards feeling happier?
I will say, yes, I am happy. Yeah, I think I am happy. And that doesn't mean that I'm like living in la la land, everything's perfect, but I'm happy.
Okay, because I think that question doesn't apply to you, but we should change the question.
Yeah.
So you're already happy.
No,
What small
yeah,
step you can take it every day consistently to make you feeling happier?
I would say like think about your life, like think about your day to day, like you're trying to fill up a bucket and there are things that you're doing that you know are poking holes in your bucket of happiness, like things that are detracting from your happiness or that aren't contributing to your happiness. So even neutral things like are a small little hole in your bucket, but like negative things like maybe it's you're drinking too much or you're smoking cigarettes all day long, or you're at a job that you hate, or you have so much stress, you have panic attacks and you hate your job. Like all of those things are poking holes in your bucket. So think about your life and your day like that. And then think about the good stuff in your day being water, and the bucket has to be filled up by the end of the day. And so how much and the holes leak slowly. So like think about it that way. Like, you do a workout and then you eat really well and then so like your bucket's maybe like a quarter empty by the end of the day because it's slowly, but like have you only put like a cup of water in it throughout the day, or have you put no water in it? Like you got to start doing things that are going to add to your day and remove the things that are poking holes in your bucket. So go stop doing the job, or look for a different job, or stop the bad habit that's poking holes in your day, and like add things to your day that are real things, like calling friends that you love and like going to dinner with people and like whatever it is, like doing a new hobby, like all of those things you can like just what are you adding? What are you subtracting? Like you got to find a way to have your bucket have some water in it at the end of the day. And it's not always going to be
Yeah,
full. And there's going to be
fill the
seasons where
bucket.
it's more full than other. Fill the bucket. Yeah,
Fill
exactly.
the bucket.
That's my
This is
advice.
awesome. Finally, you leave a question for the next guest.
Yeah. Well, I would say dead or alive, who are two famous people that you would like to have dinner with, and why?
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. This is so amazing. Thank you so much, Johnny, for having this
Thank
conversation
you.
with me.
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I hope you enjoy the same way as I do.
Me too.
How can our audience find you other than the PE Guy Instagram page? Is there anything else that you have?
Yeah. Well, so I'm on TikTok and Instagram, just at Johnny Hilbrant.
Okay.
And then, yeah, that's it.
Looking forward to seeing more from you. And then
Yes.
maybe next year we can come back for another conversation to ask you some more
Yeah.
questions about your
I would
new
love that.
journey.
I would love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lydia.
So that's another episode of Escape 9 to 5. Escape 9 to 5 is my way to help people visualize and see the stories behind those who have changed their life from a traditional 9 to 5 job to a different portfolio life. If you like this video, you might resonate with this video as well. All the links will be in the show notes, and you feel free to check out. If you listen to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and if you like it, don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps the podcast to be discovered by other people. And if you like any specific clips or mantras or any takeaway from this video, please share with us in the comments down below. Share with your friends and family. That really helps the podcast. Thanks for being on this amazing journey. Until next time, I hope this episode gives you a little bit of inspiration, nudge you a little bit to do something on your own or just try something out for the first time ever. We're here with you. We have this whole community and all the guests coming. I'll see you next time.